The jungle was quiet, too quiet. A low gray fog was in the air. Elite police officers moved slowly. Their boots sank into the wet mud. The smell of rotting leaves was strong. The humid heat was heavy on their skin. They didn't speak. They didn't make a sound. Every eye was open wide. Every finger was on a trigger. Ahead of them was a simple farm, a concrete house, a zinc roof. To any passing eye, it looked ordinary. It looked peaceful, just another small property in the Colombian lowlands. But the world's best intelligence said something else. This house was a prison, and inside, a national icon was waiting to be saved. Suddenly, a loud crack shattered the silence. Not a stick breaking, gunfire. A lone guard saw a shadow. He didn't ask questions. He fired a single shot into the fog. Panic exploded instantly. The sound of more boots hit the dirt, not the slow, controlled step of the police, faster, wild. Inside the small house, a woman sat bolt upright. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She was calm. She was composed. She was confident, because she had been waiting for this moment. For 5 months, she had been a bargaining chip. For 5 months, she had been living in a hole in the ground to keep her safe. She thought she was about to be saved, but that decided which mattered more, life or control. Gunfire opened up from everywhere. A fireball ripped through the wooden door. The sound of a radio crackled. "Do it," a voice said. Not police, not military, just a single truck parked sideways across the narrow road, engine humming, driver unseen. A shadow figure stepped forward. The woman in the house opened her door slowly. Rain hit her shoulders. She stood upright, face revealed. Chaos swallowed the room. Glass began to whisper. Beams groaned. Wood surrendered. She saw her chance. A final move. Escape promises safety. She did not turn around. She makes a steep descent toward the trees. Then a louder crack came. A final move. A sharp pain ripped through her back. She did not scream. No panic. No shouting. She fell hard onto the wet grass. The red confetti lay on the damp floor. The sound of rain and breathing. Elite police rushed her. They carry her to the helicopter. It was a beautiful Monday morning, but uncertainty is information. The pilot didn't look back. He was sweating. This decision would seal more than one fate. But this didn't start here. To understand how a news icon became a prisoner, you have to understand the math of the Medellín Cartel. It began with fear, but fear isolates by design. The pressure had been building for months. Raids intensified, communications compromised, isolation wrapped around them like a closing fist. Meetings shorter, rooms darker. The world changed in plain sight. Pablo Escobar understood information the way others understood bullets. He decided Gaviria had to die. But power is isolation. Power is heavy. The rule was simple: plata or plomo, silver or lead. Pablo had a new problem: extradition or the grave. The louder enemy is predictable. He needed a dynamic move. He did not want to use a sniper. He didn't want a knife in the dark. He wanted to show everyone that nobody was safe. He decided to target the very rule the government used to find him. A highly controversial and intense black and white true crime realism moment. He intercepts his own escape route designed to save his life. The very choices meant to preserve authority were choice meant to save his family. One priority was life, The other priority, control. History rarely distinguishes between the two. Pablo wanted high-contrast psychological dominance, not brutality. So he removed visibility. Paranoia, people called it. But paranoia implies irrational fear. Pablo's fear was methodical. He reduced meetings, shortened conversations. He noticed the supplier who repeated himself twice. He noticed the rumor that traveled too fast. Uncertainty is information. He assumed his closest allies were relaying data. Weeks passed before the first match was struck. He feeds minor victories to measure methods. A bag always half-packed. He touched a dining chair, paused near a hallway. Not sentimental, calculating. Symbols attract fire, and control thinned faster than the flow of product. Trust thinned, meetings thinned. Isolation wrapped around him like a new skin. Control requires presence, even when presence invites danger. This decision sealed more than one fate. Before we go deeper, make sure you're subscribed. We post stories like this every single day. Now, back to the story. Before we go deeper, make sure you're subscribed. We post stories like this every single day. Now, back to the story. Pablo was getting desperate. The government kept coming. They kept pushing for extradition. His normal methods of terror weren't working as well as he hoped. The U.S. government was giving money and training to the Colombian police. They were hunting Pablo with real power. He needed a new kind of terror. He needed a way to break the government's power on the streets. He needed to target the people who were on the front lines, the men in uniform, the everyday police officers of Medellin. The psychological pressure was building in Pablo's mind. His empire was at risk. He needed to strike back in a way that would make every single police officer afraid. Pablo called his top lieutenants together on one of his jungle ranches. In a dark room, away from the light, he laid out his plan. His controlled voice was chilling. "I will pay," he said, "for every police officer you kill in Medellin. I will pay. They will know the price of their lives." He didn't just want them dead, he wanted them broken. He wanted to destroy the entire system from the bottom up. He called it the pistol plan. The word spread fast. In the poor neighborhoods of Medellin, the news was like a new gold rush. Young men with no jobs and no hope heard the offer. They had grown up seeing Pablo as a hero who gave them money. Now he was offering them a path to fortune. All they needed was a gun and a target. Pablo's offer was specific. For every uniformed police officer killed in Medellin, he would pay 1 million Colombian pesos. In today's money, that is worth much more, but in Colombia in the late 1980s, it was a fortune. It was more money than a police officer made in a year. It was more money than these young men had ever seen. The young hitmen of Medellin didn't see it as murder. They didn't see the human lives. They saw it as a business opportunity. Greed had replaced morals. Pablo's ego was buying human souls for the price of a car. The first killings started slowly. A traffic cop on a street corner, a lone officer walking home after work. They were easy targets. The sicarios, or assassins, used motorcycles, 2 men on a bike. They would speed up, fire their weapon, and disappear into the crowded streets. The city of Medellin was perfect for this kind of war. It has narrow, winding streets and crowded hills. There were plenty of places to hide. The young men would watch a cop for days. They would learn his routine. When does he leave for work? Which bus does he take? Who does he meet for lunch? Every detail was noted. Every detail made the kill easier, and every kill brought them $3,000. They would get the money from Pablo's lieutenants, no questions asked. The sicarios became famous in their neighborhoods. They had new clothes, they bought motorcycles, they had power, and everyone knew where that power came from.
The immediate consequence of the failed mission changed Colombia. The War of the Walls began. High explosives clear rural properties. They treat caletas as fuel. The ironies settle permanently. The long-term consequence change how the world guards borders. But in Bogotá, Gaviria promised to hunt Pablo, and he kept his promise. The people tired of the blood and vote for Gaviria. The long-term consequence of Flight 203, the kidnapping, was the total change of how the world guards borders. Ironies settled permanent. The rule of plata or plomo continue, but time effectively narrows options more effectively than enemies do. Iron and time. Iron and time. Control thinned. The long-term consequences are the total change of the system. Power always coming with a price. Some choices can never be undone. If you liked this video, make sure you subscribe and follow the channel. We upload new videos every single day. And trust me, the next story is even more intense, more surprising, and something you definitely don't want to miss. I'll see you in the next one.